You know, there are moments in life that feel like a secret door suddenly opens, leading you into a completely different world. For me, that moment happened on a chilly morning in Kyoto, Japan, about 5 years ago. That day, I woke up earlier than usual to the sound of sparrows chirping outside. The shoji paper screens in my little guest house room glowed faintly with morning light, and there was a faint scent of pine and green tea drifting in the air. I stepped out into the street, thinking I'd just take a walk and breathe in the fresh air. But then, a sight stopped me in my tracks. Right in front of me was an elderly woman, perhaps over 90 years old, with snow-white hair, but eyes that sparkled with life, and a perfectly straight back. She was casually riding a bicycle, a basket in front of her filled with fresh vegetables. What amazed me wasn't just her age. It was that she radiated a youthful, energetic presence. Curious, I decided to follow her. Discreetly, of course, so she wouldn't think I was some kind of stalker. The narrow street led us to a local market where she picked up a few more fish, some tangerines, and chatted warmly with the vendors. No one treated her as if she were frail or fragile. They spoke to her like an old friend. Gathering my courage, I struck up a conversation. She smiled and invited me to her home for tea. That's when I discovered her secret to living a long, youthful life. A secret that, as I would later learn, is shared by many Japanese people. Her home was simple, nestled on a hillside surrounded by a lush vegetable garden and pots of golden chrysanthemums. As soon as I stepped inside, the scent of matcha and grilled fish mingled with the warm aroma of wooden beams. She poured me a steaming cup of tea, set it gently in front of me, and said, "You want to live a long, healthy life? It's not hard, but you have to live the right way." Those words, paired with the kindness in her eyes, etched themselves deep into my memory. I knew right then I would never forget this moment. She began telling me her life story. Born in Okinawa, a place famous for having some of the longest living people in the world. She had lived through war and loss, yet never gave up on caring for her body and keeping her spirit bright. She said that to live long and stay young, healthy eating alone isn't enough. You need a way of life that's in harmony with nature, with the people around you, and most importantly, with yourself. As she spoke, I realized that the real magic wasn't in some complex secret formula, but in small habits repeated every single day. Things so simple that most people overlook them, yet powerful enough to transform health over the years. That day, I decided I would learn and apply everything she was willing to share. And this is my story, the journey of learning, changing, and feeling a profound difference in just a few months. But before I reveal each of her secrets, I want to take you back to that morning, to let you truly feel the peace, the slowness, and the quiet energy of a new day in Japan. Because that atmosphere is the very foundation for all the longevity and youthfulness secrets I'm about to tell you. As the sun began to rise above the mountains, golden light poured over the curved tile roofs and narrow stone-paved streets. I finally understood why the Japanese treasure every moment of daily life. Here, everything, from brewing a pot of tea, preparing breakfast, to walking to the market, is done slowly, with care, and with appreciation. The old lady smiled, lifted her teacup, and said, "You know, living long isn't about adding more years. It's about making sure every year is filled with health and joy." In that moment, I knew I had stumbled upon a treasure, and I wanted to share it with you, piece by piece, so you too could live long and stay young like her. That morning, as I sat in the cozy warmth of her kitchen, I noticed something unusual about the table in front of me. It wasn't piled high with large plates of food. Instead, there were many small, colorful dishes, each one carefully arranged like pieces of art. There was a bowl of soft, fluffy white rice, a steaming miso soup, a few golden slices of grilled Saba mackerel, a small plate of wakame seaweed, a few slices of pickled daikon, and a tiny bowl of seaweed salad sprinkled with sesame seeds. I was used to meals where you ate until you were stuffed full, so at first I thought, will this be enough? But once I started eating, I realized this wasn't just a meal, it was a ritual of nourishing both the body and the soul. Secret 1. Harahachi Bu. Eat until you're 80% full. She told me about a Japanese philosophy called harahachi bu, which means eat until you are about 80% full. Never eat until you feel bloated. Stop when you feel just satisfied. She smiled and said, eating just enough keeps your body light, your digestion strong, and your life longer. I remembered all those times I overate, my stomach heavy and my body sluggish. This meal was different. I felt light, energized, and comfortable. Secret 2. Fresh, seasonal ingredients. She never used canned or processed foods. Every day she bought freshly caught fish and vegetables that were in season. She explained, eat what nature gives you in each season. It's what your body is meant for. Spring vegetables are refreshing. Winter fish are rich. Summer fruits are sweet and hydrating. Nature's timing always supports the body's needs. Secret 3. Less red meat, more fish and vegetables. In Japan, fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines are staples, replacing much of the red meat. Fish are high in omega-3s, great for heart and brain health. Vegetables are plentiful and varied, especially antioxidant-rich ones like spinach, cabbage, daikon radish, and seaweed. She told me that one key to staying young is reducing inflammation in the body, and a diet high in vegetables and fish, with little sugar and unhealthy fats, is the way to do it. Secret 4. Green tea. A daily companion. When I asked her about the Japanese miracle drink, she handed me a cup of matcha. Green tea, she said, isn't just for alertness. It's packed with EGCG, a powerful antioxidant that helps slow aging and protect the heart. Many Japanese people drink green tea daily, sometimes replacing plain water with it. A cup of tea each morning is a gentle greeting to your body, she said. Secret 5. Eat with your eyes. First, I noticed something else. Japanese meals are always beautifully presented. Small plates, bright colors, a little of each dish, pleasing to the eye before the first bite. She explained, when your eyes feel full, you naturally eat more slowly. This not only helps you eat less, but also makes you appreciate each bite. My first experience. After that breakfast, I didn't feel heavy or sleepy like I usually did. Instead, I felt refreshed and energized. And surprisingly, I wasn't hungry until well past noon. She smiled knowingly. See? Eating the right way doesn't leave you tired. Health doesn't come from eating more. It comes from eating wisely. That day, I promised myself I would start changing my eating habits. Eat less but better, choose fresh foods, and treat each meal as a moment worth savoring. The Japanese way of moving. Gentle steps, strong body. After breakfast, she invited me to take a walk around the neighborhood. It was early morning, and the streets were quiet, except for the sound of our footsteps and the occasional chirping of birds. At first, I thought it was just a casual stroll, but soon I realized this was another key to her long, healthy life. Movement, not exercise. She explained that in Japan, many older people don't work out in the Western sense. You won't often see them lifting heavy weights or doing intense gym routines. Instead, they weave movement naturally into daily life, walking to the market, tending to a garden, cleaning the house, cycling to visit friends. Your body is like a door, she said. If you stop opening it, it will rust. Keep moving every day, even in small ways. The morning walk. Ritual. We walked at a steady, comfortable pace. She told me that walking early in the day helps awaken the muscles, improve circulation, and set a calm rhythm for the mind. She rarely used cars for short trips, preferring to walk or cycle. I noticed that even in her late 80s, her posture was upright, her steps steady. She credited this to decades of daily walking, not as a chore, but as a joyful habit. Radio Taiso, Japan's 10-minute secret. Back at her home, she turned on the radio, and a cheerful tune began to play. It was Radio Taiso, a short, simple exercise routine broadcast all across Japan since the 1920s. Children, office workers, and retirees alike follow along each morning. The movements were gentle, stretching the arms, rotating the shoulders, bending forward, rising on tiptoes. It looked easy, but it warmed the whole body in just minutes. Do this every day, and you'll keep your balance, flexibility, and strength, she told me. The Ikigai effect. She then mentioned Ikigai, the Japanese concept of having a reason to wake up each morning. Whether it's caring for a garden, painting, cooking, or simply meeting friends for tea, movement becomes more meaningful when it's tied to purpose. When you move for something you love, it never feels like work, she said. Slowness is strength. One thing that surprised me was how unhurried her movements were. No rushing, no multitasking, no trying to beat a timer. She believed that moving slowly but consistently was better than intense bursts followed by long periods of rest. This, she explained, reduces stress on the heart and joints while keeping energy levels steady throughout the day. My own lesson. That day, I realized I didn't need a gym membership or fancy equipment. All I needed was the commitment to keep my body in gentle motion, every day, without fail. I started making small changes. Walking instead of driving short distances, doing light stretches while waiting for water to boil, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Over time, these little habits began to add up, and I felt more energized than ever before. Rest like the Japanese, the art of true recovery. That evening, after a simple yet satisfying dinner, she began preparing for bed. But it wasn't just going to sleep. It was a whole ritual of unwinding. I had always been the kind of person who stayed on my phone until midnight, scrolling endlessly, my mind buzzing with to-do lists. She was different. Her nights seemed like a gentle landing after a long day. Slow down before sleep. After dinner, she dimmed the lights in the living room and made a pot of warm barley tea. We sat together in silence for a few minutes, just sipping. No TV, no loud music, only the faint sound of wind outside. She told me, "If you run until the last minute of the day, your mind won't know it's time to rest." By slowing down an hour before bed, the body and brain get the signal to relax. The minimalist bedroom. When I entered her bedroom, I noticed how simple it was. A tatami mat, a thin futon, one small pillow, and a neatly folded blanket. No clutter, no distractions, no bright lights. She explained that a calm, uncluttered sleeping space tells the brain, this is a place for rest. And the futon, which she rolled up and stored away each morning, allowed her body to stretch and her back to stay strong. Early to bed, early to rise. She was usually in bed by 9:30 p.m. and woke up naturally around 5:30 a.m. She believed that following the sun's natural rhythm helped balance the body's internal clock. When you rise with the sun and rest with the moon, you age more slowly, she said. Inamuri, the art of napping. Without guilt. Another thing I found fascinating was inamuri, the Japanese practice of taking short, intentional naps during the day without feeling lazy. These naps aren't long, just 15 to 20 minutes, but they recharge the mind and body. She told me, we don't wait until we are completely exhausted to rest. We rest a little, often. Breathing the day away. Before lying down, she did something that surprised me. She sat on her futon, closed her eyes, and took 10 deep, slow breaths. She said it helped release the weight of the day so she could sleep with a light heart. I tried it myself, and for the first time in years, I fell asleep almost instantly. My change. From that day on, I began treating sleep not as an afterthought, but as an essential pillar of health. I started turning off screens an hour before bed, keeping my bedroom minimal, and waking up with the sun. And just like that, my mornings felt brighter, my mind clearer, and my energy steadier. Part 5. The Japanese Mindset. Staying Young at Heart. The next morning, as we sat on her porch sipping green tea, I asked her the question that had been on my mind from the very beginning. How do you stay so young in spirit, even at 90? She smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. It's not just what I eat or how I move, she said. It's how I think. The heart must stay light if the body is to stay strong. Ikigai. A reason to wake up. She told me about Ikigai, the Japanese concept of having a reason to get out of bed each morning. It could be something small, tending to flowers, cooking for family, or meeting friends for tea. The point is to have something that gives life meaning. If you wake up with nothing to look forward to, you will age quickly, she said. Her own Ikigai was her small vegetable garden. She tended it every day, rain or shine, and shared the harvest with neighbors. Shuganai, letting go of what you can't control. Life, she said, will always bring troubles, illness, loss, disappointments. But in Japan, there's a phrase, shuganai, meaning, it can't be helped. This doesn't mean giving up. It means accepting what's beyond your control, so you don't waste energy fighting the inevitable. When you stop wrestling with things you can't change, your heart stays lighter. Kaizen. The joy of small improvements. She believed in Kaizen, the practice of making small, continuous improvements. Instead of setting huge, overwhelming goals, she focused on doing just one thing a little better each day. Small steps, she said, are easier to take, and they still lead you far. Gratitude as a daily habit. Before bed each night, she mentally listed 3 things she was grateful for, no matter how small. A cool breeze, a tasty bowl of miso soup, a kind word from a neighbor. She explained that gratitude wasn't just a feeling, it was a form of mental nourishment. When you see the good in life, the bad has less power over you. Staying connected. She also valued community deeply. In her village, neighbors looked out for one another. If someone fell ill, meals would appear at their doorstep without asking. Loneliness, she said, was as dangerous as smoking. Keeping strong social ties kept her laughter frequent and her heart full. My takeaway. From her, I learned that a youthful spirit isn't about denying age. It's about embracing life with curiosity, gratitude, and purpose. I started my own Ikigai list, small reasons to get up each morning. I began practicing Shuganai when things didn't go my way, and Kaizen when I wanted to improve myself. And slowly, I noticed I was smiling more. My heart felt lighter. On my last morning in the village, the air was crisp and cool, carrying the scent of pine and freshly turned earth. I knew it was almost time to leave, but a part of me wished I could stay longer, to keep living at this gentle, deliberate pace. She met me at the gate, holding a small bundle wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. Inside was a jar of homemade pickled vegetables and a handwritten note. The final walk. We walked together down the narrow dirt path toward the bus stop. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden glow over the rice fields. She moved slowly, but her steps were steady and confident, the same way she seemed to move through life. The last conversation. As we walked, I asked her one last question. If you could give just one piece of advice for a long, happy life, what would it be? She stopped, looked out at the mountains, and then turned to me with that calm, warm smile I'd grown to love. Live simply, but deeply. Eat what the earth gives you. Move every day. Keep your heart light. and always have something to look forward to, no matter how small. The goodbye gift. At the bus stop, she pressed the jar of pickles into my hands. "They'll last a long time," she said. "Like life, if you care for it well." The bus arrived, and as I stepped on, she waved, her figure growing smaller in the distance. Carrying her lessons home. Back in the city, the noise and rush tried to pull me back into my old habits. But I found myself holding on to her words, waking early, walking more, cooking simply, breathing deeply, and practicing gratitude each night. I realized that longevity isn't about avoiding age. It's about living each day in a way that makes time feel fuller, richer, and more joyful. Her legacy in my life. Months later, I still keep that jar, empty now, on my kitchen shelf. It's a reminder of the morning light over the rice fields, the warmth of her smile, and the quiet wisdom of a life lived with intention. And whenever I feel life speeding up, I slow down, take a breath, and remember her final lesson. Live simply, but deeply. If you want, I can also create a short, emotional YouTube description that summarizes all 6 parts in a way that hooks viewers and boosts clicks. That would make this series ready for upload.